3 times, the world almost ended. Welcome to Your Dose of Wowness.
A flash brighter than the sun. A shockwave that flattens 2,000 square kilometers of forest, an area you could lose a major city inside, a second decision, because of pure, dumb timing. Welcome to the strangest kind of near miss in this whole series. On the morning of June 30, 1908, something entered the atmosphere over the Podkamennaya Tunguska River region in central Siberia. This is an incredibly isolated stretch of dense taiga forest, populated at the time by only a handful of Russian settlers and nomadic reindeer herders. Those few locals reported seeing a streak of light blindingly bright crossing the morning sky. They felt heat intense enough to burn from miles away. And then a concussive blast hurled people to the ground and shattered windows in settlements over 60 kilometers from ground zero. No scientists witnessed this detonation, but thousands of miles away in Western Europe, barometers detected massive fluctuations in atmospheric pressure, and seismic stations registered the anomaly deep in the bedrock. The instruments proved a colossal release of energy had occurred, but because it struck one of the emptiest patches of land on the globe, no one could actually get to the site to confirm what happened. The most powerful explosion in modern history simply sat untouched, deep in the woods, for nearly 20 years. It took scientists almost 20 years to even reach the site and start asking the right questions. In 1927, a Soviet mineralogist named Leonid Kulik finally led the first scientific expedition into the Siberian wilderness to track down the impact site. When he got there, the scale of destruction was staggering. He documented 80 million trees, knocked down in a pattern so precise it points directly back to where the blast happened, like a fingerprint left by the sky itself. But at the very center of that destruction, Kulik found something that defied every law of ballistics. There was no impact crater, no jagged hole in the earth, and no buried meteorite. Modern physics gives us the answer. An atmospheric airburst. An object roughly 50 meters across hit the Earth's atmosphere, but instead of striking the soil, it began vaporizing under extreme pressure, triggering a massive detonation several kilometers up in the sky. The object itself was entirely consumed before it ever reached the ground. But the concussive force kept traveling. It slammed into the surface from above and pushed outward in a perfect circle, snapping millions of pine trees without digging a hole in the dirt. That mechanism explains how a blast releasing 10 to 15 megatons of energy, a yield easily dwarfing early atomic weapons, could violently flatten an entire ecosystem, yet leave virtually no solid trace of itself on the planet. After 3 heavy Cold War episodes in a row, I think we all needed something like this. Big, strange, and genuinely wondrous. Subscribe if you want the rest of this arc, and let me know in the comments if you'd heard of Tunguska before, because I think it deserves to be way more famous than it is. The thing to remember about objects falling from space is that they are aiming at a spinning target. The Earth's rotation means that surviving Tunguska was effectively a game of cosmic roulette. Shift the timing by a matter of hours, and this same blast could have gone off directly over a major imperial capital instead of an empty forest. If the rock had crossed our path roughly 8 hours later, that 10 megaton airburst would have detonated over St. Petersburg, leveling the densely populated capital of Imperial Russia and instantly killing hundreds of thousands of people. We didn't dodge a mass casualty event because an officer hesitated at a radar screen or because diplomats drafted a clever treaty. We survived strictly because of the random position of a spinning rock. Researchers still return to the taiga today, sifting through soil for microscopic silicate and magnetite particles. They are looking for physical signatures that might finally confirm whether the impactor was a stony asteroid or a fragile fragment of an icy comet. But as a historical near miss, Tunguska sits in a category entirely its own. There was no human anxiety leading up to it, no exhausted commanders making split-second judgment calls, no red buttons waiting to be pressed. We get to look back at the flattened trees of the Siberian taiga with a sense of awe. It is a rare chance to feel cosmic gratitude, appreciating our sheer luck as passengers in a chaotic and unpredictable solar system. A forest instead of a city, purely because of when the Earth happened to be turning. That's the whole story, and honestly, it's a nice one to sit with for a minute. But we're not done with the Cold War just yet. Next time, we head to 1995, to the single most recent nuclear near-miss on record, and a Russian president with the nuclear briefcase open in front of him. That's day 119, the Norwegian rocket incident.